I'm going to keep this quick. Destiny 2 is not doing well, development-wise or profit-wise. So I wanted to just quickly address what's wrong with the game and how Bungie could potentially fix it. Destiny 2 is a very unique experience. There definitely is no other game on the market like it. Not with its depth of game mechanics, varieties of gameplay, or its story. But the game's dying. People are leaving. And primarily it's because of, well, the game is kind of at the end of an era. The story, at least for the Light and Dark saga, is finished. For a lot of players, myself included, that kind of marks the end of the franchise, with the defeat of, like, the last major enemy in the game. And kind of similar to what happened with Marvel and with Infinity War, people move on. They aren't interested in what really comes next, because for a lot of folks, this was it. But honestly, there is still room for Destiny 2 to grow, but not by making new content per se, but by going back to the old stuff. If Bungie works more on bringing back older Destiny 1 content into Destiny 2, that will spike sales. I guarantee it will, because there's plenty of people that either have moved on from Xbox to PC, or that are just on next-gen platforms that don't have access to that content anymore, or just want to play with their friends on something new. Granted, there is still something to be said to actually be able to go back and play Destiny 1, but like, as it stands for me right now, I can't. I don't have access to it, can't afford it, not gonna do it. But if Bungie does decide, in order to start bringing forward old D1 content, like they've already have Cosmodrome here, if they just start bringing old things back, hell, even just bringing back the Red War and Osiris and Warmind would be probably more than enough in order to drive sales for a little while longer if they manage to re-release the game, but they should still probably keep track of who's purchased it before and who gets it back for free, if they do it in that case. I'm sorry I'm kind of all over the place here, I just wanted to shotgun this real quick, because it's just been on my mind forever, but like I could never properly find the words, so I'm just gonna throw it out there. Seasons aren't working. Seasonal content is really terrible because it's gone, like, after a year, and that's not a good way for a business to be run. Players are not going to invest in something that is strictly temporary. Like, I know that they still make a decent amount of money off of it for the moment, but like, people are wearing out on, or not wearing out, burning out on the seasonal content stuff. If they just work on making expansions instead, giving us permanent content that we can play and revisit even years down the line in the future, you know, that would be better. And then there's another issue that's also holding Destiny 2 back from being a pretty common game for most folks, and that's difficulty. So I just kind of blabbed in my last video that I did covering Heresy that Destiny 2 is really hard for me. Because, again, like, I don't have very much of a time commitment to the game, which is kind of an issue. But another big issue is, like, I don't have all of the expansions, and I can't really play with other people in, like, the latest and greatest things because I can't afford it. But I did manage to afford silver a little bit. You know, that's how I managed in order to get the cosmetics here for my Transversive Steps. Now, granted, I've only bought this stuff once or twice, but, like, usually it's not something I do in a game unless I really love it, and I do love Destiny 2. I love it a lot. But the endgame content, I just can't do. I might be able to rope together a couple of friends in order to be able to take on some dungeons and stuff, but LFGs are actively hostile towards me because I don't know what I'm doing. And even if I did try and find, like, people to teach me, or I actually go and study for, like, a couple of weeks watching the same videos over and over again, trying to learn mechanics, my memory is shit, and I can't always know what I'm doing in those events, you know, so it just becomes next to impossible for me to reach that. Like, I'm never going to be able to go and play like Salvation's Edge. What Bungie really needs to do is we need to have versions of these raids that almost act like story missions, where we can actually go through them and play them and interact with their mechanics, but not have to do it with a group of 6. You know, solo that stuff, make it soloable, but still have there be at least a level of difficulty there. You know, it still needs to be challenging content. It's meant to be endgame. And I understand that. And I understand that even if those modifications were made, I might still not be able to do it because I'm just trash. But again, like, this is a video game. Nothing should truly be impossible for everyone. Yeah, I digress. Beyond endgame content, there's also an issue with, of course, sunsetting. Similar to how seasonal content's being treated right now, it's just not great that so much of Destiny 2's original content, like Red War, Forsaken, Warmind, Osiris, just completely got wiped out. And we're probably never going to see it again, I understand that. But if Bungie wants to make this game last longer, they'd add that stuff back in, because I would love to reintroduce people like that I know in my life to Destiny and have them play it with me. But they want to see everything from start to finish, and when they hear that there's too much stuff that they missed out on over the years because they just weren't there for it, it's demoralizing, and it really puts people off. I've had people in my life that also wanted to genuinely start, like, that didn't even know that I played Destiny 2 and would love to do it with me, but never could, because, again, they can't keep up with the story, and they don't know what's going on. When they make new characters, they see a cinematic movie, effectively, to introduce them to the game and everything, and then they get thrown into a random mission, like what happens to me when I record the first sections of each new season that comes out. You know, you just get thrown right into it, you don't understand what's going on or what's happening, and when you're still trying to go back through the tutorial, you know, it's just hell. And this is something that I know that the wider community has known about for ages, and it's been a common critique. Like, there's nothing new that I'm saying here, but I just wanted to be able to put this video out there as, like, the perspective of a casual player, because, like, a lot of the folks that I see, like Datto especially, are endgame elite players. Like, they know the game inside and out. They work a lot and spend hours and hours of time making YouTube videos and stuff, you know, explaining details about the game, and they know their shit. But at the exact same time, like, I'm a layman. You know, I'm like the general voice of someone that is just casually playing the game. And from my experience, like, it's very different. Honestly, what I want to see more is maybe more single-player experiences from Destiny. I would love, like, if they did ever consider making a third Destiny, to focus on maybe the single-player aspect the most. Because gaming, at least in 2025 and on, is starting to become more and more single-player. You know, people don't get along to get very well together. And even I'm having issues with socializing. And, like, when you're trying to get people to do things under the same common goal, it's just kind of hard to coordinate with other people you don't know. But a game like Warframe, for example, I have zero issues with, because there are ways to do everything yourself. I can play that entire game solo with the right builds, with the right setup, and with enough time. You know, it's not something that pressures me into playing it, which is great. And I think that Destiny 2 does need to take more of a casual approach to further and future developments, because, well, that's your market. If you want to be able to get more money out of this game, then you need to make it available to the most number of people and not have a bunch of requirements based on this. Alright, well, enough with my incoherent rambling. You know, I miss playing Destiny 2. I miss going back and just having a good time with my friends in just playing the game. But that's, I don't think, gonna happen for very much longer. I honestly see Destiny 2 getting shut down in a few years. I know that they were able to miraculously keep Destiny 1 servers alive, but I don't know about Destiny 2. I don't think development is going to stop. I think it's going to lurch and crawl until its eventual demise. But all I can really do is hope for the best, but plan for the worst. In any case, thanks for listening to me.